We are happy to announce the launch of our new logo. We have evolved since our incorporation in 1997, and it is time to refresh our new look to reflect who we are today. Before I reveal our new look, however, walk with me while I take you through our journey of the last 25 years. Trust Bank was incorporated on July 3rd, 1997 and began operations on October 1st, 1997. Following the collapse of the parent company of its predecessor, Meridian, the CBG stepped in and recapitalized the bank and held the shares in trust, thus the name Trust Bank. In 1999, the first investors who responded to the IPO and paid $1.50 per share received their maiden dividend of 50 bututs per share. In 2000, the bank fully paid back its investment by declaring another dividend of $1.20 bututs per share, making it a cumulative dividend per share of $1.70, which was 20 bututs above the purchase price. Between 2002 to date, share capital has increased from $27 million to $200 million, indicating that the bank has grown organically by plowing back profits to increase capital, while at the same time paying dividends to shareholders. The bank was listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange in November 2002, being the first ever cross-border listing in the sub-region. Now let's talk about awards. The bank was awarded the insignia of the National Order of the Republic of the Gambia, ORG, in the year 2010 by His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia. During the past years, the bank has received so many national and international awards. Banker Magazine, 6 times. Global Finance, 6 times. Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, 5 times. We began operations with 3 branches. Now, we have 18 branches and 20 ATMs and counting. On digital services, mobile app, check. Online banking, check. Transaction alerts, check. Watch this space. We've got more coming. Creating employment, yes, we've got that too. 400 and counting. And we take great care of our people too. Medical insurance, life insurance, private and state pensions, annual pilgrimages for both Muslims and Christians, training, yes, we do them all. One team, one family, one goal. That's the Trust Bank spirit. On corporate social responsibility, we have spent over $50 million in various causes. We care, and so we share. Over the years, we have paid over $1.6 billion to our shareholders, which translates to a whopping $20 per share and counting. Phenomenal returns for our shareholders who purchased at $1.50. Corporate taxes, over $1 billion is paid. Our journey started with a vision to create the kind of company that delivers quality services and innovative products with an inspired team dedicated to serving our customers, our environment, and our communities at large in the most caring manner. We remain fully committed to delivering excellent services to each of our stakeholders, customers, employees, shareholders, and partners. So, we remain true to who we have always been. As we look forward to greater achievements, we are rebranding to reflect who we are today and the future that we inspire. Our new logo has been designed to visually demonstrate our Gambian heritage and the sophisticated nature of the bank. We are moving away from the navy and gold-colored parallelogram-shaped logo to our baobab tree with a rising sun in the background. The striking outline of a baobab tree at sunrise is a familiar sight to anyone who has spent time in the Gambia. Our new logo and visual identity are inspired by our core values and spirit of being a pioneer in providing a unique banking experience. It is a completely new look that better matches the transformation we have made as a company. But we remain your Trust Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to present to you our new logo and corporate identity.
fay lempo warugal la si képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $2,400 dalasi mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu tollu si $2,000 dalasi lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandiku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugar la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam bépp contract bu waay joxe te si biir réew mi la ñu toog kon xaalis si contract bi ngeen nangutoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contract warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jébal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalis si contract bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jégale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokk.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian.
Hello and welcome to this special interview. If you've been following us, we announced earlier on that today we're going to have the Gambian of the Year, Standard Newspaper Gambian of the Year, former Auditor General of the National Audit Office, Karamaba Touray. This is the first time we're having him on Kerr Fatou. Karamba, welcome to this special interview.
Thank you very much, Fatou. I am happy to be here.
And first, we want to take this opportunity to congratulate you on the Gambian of the Year award, that prestigious award by the Standard Newspaper that is always conferred on people who have done distinguished service to the nation. They are honored. How did you receive that that honor?
Yeah, with great humility, of course. I know a number of people could have contended for the same position. Yeah. Been lucky to be selected among, of course, quite a good number of people who would have deserved the same position. But I am very humbled and honored to have received that particular.
Naturally, a lot of people said, we don't even know Karamba. Is that the nature of auditors? You always behind the scene. You don't want to be on the limelight. Naturally, it wouldn't be easy to have you on a platform to talk. Is that the nature of your job?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the reasons that we tend to, actually low-key is not to politicize the position, because the work we do is an oversight function. So you don't want to be seen to be taking sides. That's why we are careful to get involved in most of these things. I've said even your social life is somehow curtailed because you don't want to be seen with a particular group of people and say, these are the people he moves with. For me, I said for the last 25 or 30 years, I have not gone out. After it's my office work. That's how it has been all my life. Even my children would even complain that I don't spend a lot of time with them, and that is also even Saturdays. Wow. It's only Sundays that I don't go to office, when I go to Banjul to visit my gardens and all that.
Wow.
But we have been very careful to give priority, because the credibility of the office is always at stake. When we do so, our life and the office is almost one and the same. Wow. That's how I saw it, ma'am.
Now let's talk about Karamaba, the person. Let's look at your background. How did it all start? Where are you from? How did it all start, especially your professional career?
Yes, I'm from Banjul, Congo, now West Coast region, formerly Western Division, where I had my primary school and then went on to Hermitage High School in 74. I left Hermitage High School in 79. Then job was in abundance. You don't even look for work much. Yeah?
During those days?
Except for certain places like customs, then GRA, people want to go to customs because of the nature of the office and how the staff during that time would appear in public. But most of the time, I don't know, people don't. For teaching, I can remember you just report there that you are from a high school and you are posted to one of the schools, just like that. Wow. And you paid there that very month. But there was this government entrance that they used to take. And then you are taken to clerical school, which would now transform to GTTI. During that time, you go to clerical school and you are taught some of these fields, like clerical work, accounting, and so on. Because I was actually a science student before. I only started accounting after I left school. I went to that clerical school, completed, and I was posted to audit. Before then, I have never heard of audit. I didn't know what audit department was. We went to PSC. It was a mass interview. We were told that the first 2 are sent to audit, and the second, I don't know, 3 or 4 are sent to accounting, and the third are sent to customs, where everybody, I remember in our batch, everybody was wanted to go. So we were posted to audit, and I had to ask people where the audit was. Then he was the last white man. Evans was then the Auditor General. I think he was the last white man to be Auditor General.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I came to go to audit.
Then it was the Department of Audit.
Then it was Auditor General's office. That was the name.
And it was under government setup?
It was under the President's office at the time.
At the time.
Yeah, but that was Auditor General. Okay. It has always been white people all along until that year.
Oh. And you rose through the ranks from the Auditor General's office to the head
Auditor
of the
General,
National
yes.
Audit.
I have never left audit since I started. Of course, there were difficult times when I once attempted to leave, and then I remember then the secretary, that was the secretary to the Public Service Commission, Mr. Bright, G.O. Bright. He later on became the chairman. When we spoke, he said, "No, go back to that office. Whatever." I said, "Go to that office."
Why did you want to leave at that point? Well, this was when you were a junior officer,
right?
I
was a junior officer, yes. This was my opinion at the time, that a lot of opportunities are bypassing me because of whatever reasons. I had a number of confrontations with the then acting Auditor General at the time, M.I. Seka. So I said, okay, let me leave. This is not a place for me. But he advised that I stay, and that's how I said. I think that was the only attempt that I made. If you go into my file, there are a number of correspondence between myself and the Auditor General at the time.
Wow.
We had a frosty time. It was a tough time during that period. So I stayed, and of course rose through the ranks to become Auditor General.
How was the transition like from the Department of Audit and to the National Audit Office in 2016? Was it, because I mean, the transformation came during Yaya Jammeh's time,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though a lot of people will come to that, will say, his tenure was somehow difficult, but this was an independent body that was set up during his time.
Absolutely.
How was that transformation like?
There's a provision in the 1997 Constitution that there should be a National Audit Office, an independent National Audit Office. What is left is to prepare regulations to make that happen. That's what I did. But actually, I started with my predecessor, Boubacar Sankare. Then I was his deputy. So the two of us actually started that work. Unfortunately, 1 year into that project, Boubacar was dismissed, really.
Dismissed, yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know. And we are very close, myself and Bubakar.
Yeah.
He also, that time, said he did not know. And up to date, I don't know what happened. But he was dismissed. I took over and proceeded with it. I know this, the Act 2 is also a difficult thing. Because we made our draft, we'll send it, and the president himself will make comments on it, and send it back. I know at a point when I did not even have somebody to take it to him because they were afraid.
People were scared.
No, yeah, I'm not going to. So that's Abdul Koli. That's why I said when the inauguration, I invited Abdul Koli. Abdul Koli was the man who took. I said, no, I will help you to get it. Take it. But Yaya himself had got a lot of respect for the office. That me I know, because he would say that, and he used to watch television during the National Assembly sittings. Yeah. When I have an argument with you, sometimes he will pick you and take you to Mile 2. That has happened on 2 or 3 occasions. Yeah, that the people call me. Look, these people are here. They said so, and I have to intervene to get them released. Yeah. He had that respect.
So he had so much respect for the office.
He had the respect for the office. Yeah. A lot of respect. Wow. You remember Ben Jammeh one time was both director of NIA and head of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Yeah. When he had a class on das Bonto drugs. Yes. Yeah.
But what was the role?
He really lost his job for that. Yeah. Yeah. We were all called at the state house. He reported me to the president. I don't know what he said because I haven't seen it. When I asked for the document today, did not. But I understand he put some accusation. So the president asked me to respond. He asked me some questions to respond within 24 hours, something like that. But I knew I did not do anything. So, because when I was corresponding with Ben all the time, I make a blind copy. A blind copy is that I don't say CC to anybody. Yeah. So Ben would not know that I am also sending copies to the president, our communication. So when the president asked for my position, I just put those together. I said, this is the only thing I have communicated with, and I have informed you. I told him that they were blind copies, so he did not know that I was like, and he was reprimanded seriously. Yeah, the president was very angry with him at the time, that he must not be using false uses, because I understand he said state secrets and dispersal states and so on, a lot of other things. He had that respect for the office, and our reports too. When at some point too, when we copy reports to him, he will simply go and arrest. So when I called to say, look, some of them are not to, actually they are for his information. They are not really that serious for. Said he was so mad with me myself. Said they did not copy me, But he has, like what I say, that he has got a lot of.
And he has implemented some of your recommendations.
He does. He does. After after the discussion of the report, usually at the National Assembly level, a task force is usually set up for the implementation of those recommendations. Wow. Yeah, he does that. That's what he does, yeah. And they have made a lot of recoveries. I think Fabakar Tombong Jata was part of that committee, so that I set up most of the time, because he was part of the Finance and Public Account Committee. Yeah. Fabakar Tombong, and of course Bojang, Abdullah Bojang, former speaker. Most of the time, after discussion of these reports, there is a task force formed. Not only from the National Assembly, together with the Minister of Finance staff and OP, for the implementation of those recommendations, and they had had an impact. They had in terms of
Do you think that had impact on how public officials use public funds?
Absolutely.
Because people were scared of him.
Absolutely.
They knew if they had faulted, they were going to prison. The president was recommending your recommendation. Did that have impact on the usage of public funds?
It had. Of course, it made a lot of impact. People were very careful. Of course, these things cannot be stopped. Yeah. Definitely, how do you call it? Completely, but it has reduced considerably. Yeah. It has reduced considerably. I said if there were anything that it is only when you are doing with the president. Yeah. Apart from that, like for example, the case of Central Bank. Yeah. People will ask me, but why didn't you then report on the case of Central Bank? We did not know. Because these things were done off the books, we are not magicians.
And they were
they were accomplices. They were doing it Yeah, they are hiding it from us because every year when we do the government audits, we send requests to the central bank to give us all the government accounts, including the private banks. We send them this information, but they usually don't share. During Jammeh's time, they have not shared that with us. So we don't know they existed until the commission was set up. That's the time we knew that there were these accounts.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they are not in the government books, you could not.
Absolutely.
But there were instances where the office of the president themselves were involved, like the sales of Gamtel and others.
Yes.
How was his reaction when those audit reports came? When other people's reports came, he took action. When those reports came about him and people,
I think you will say more of the Finance and Public Account Committee.
Yes.
Because if in their summaries, if it is not included in their summaries, then not action is taken. Because essentially, like I said, after the discussion of the reports, a task force is set up to follow the implementation of those recommendations. So
it's the Financial Committee, is the FPAC?
Yeah, it's the FPAC, but these reports, particularly relative to Gambia and Gamcel, if they are not included in the summary of reports that are to be investigated, because everybody knew
who it was involved.
Absolutely.
So you cannot directly even blame the president for it, because it was the FPAC that was not recommending it for investigation.
FPAC should be the people to follow it up, actually, in terms of those things.
So
like I said, this was I complete the figure. I think it's $35.6 million at the time.
Yeah.
And all that we can remember. I think 300,000 was what was accounted for. The balance of the money, they should have been. FPAC should have followed it up. Where was the balance of the money?
And it was never accounted for.
It was never. Yeah. And the sale of Kotu, it was, I think, they sold it for only 1.5 million.
Kotu.
That was what was recorded. That was Kotu Workshop. This was PWD at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, it was sold to, then there was this general GTSTSCO, one by Lebanese. I don't understand, it was owned by Jammeh and one Lebanese. There was this transport corporation. Then there was no GPTC. So, and we said, no, that had been undervalued, the sale was improper and so on, whatever. But these things were not, they were not followed up. And many other things.
A lot of people.
There were even allegations that we don't use to audit presence of.
That's where I was going to come. A lot of people said, especially now, supporters of this government will say, where were National Audit Office during Jammeh's time? We never heard all of this hype on the national report, the audit report, because people didn't even think you were publishing them. So now, because there's a change of government, you guys are publishing these things.
Let me also say that this is also thanks to institutions like yours. We didn't have these things. You must remember too, we didn't have these things before.
We didn't have all of these things.
Yeah, the Kerr Fatous, the, how do you call it, Modu Bojan's platform, we don't have them.
Yeah.
And really, what we wanted is what you people are doing for us, reaching out to the people, because essentially, we are the servants of the general public. We are carrying this out for the people of the Gambia. And for us, it is difficult to reach, particularly the literacy. If you look at the literacy level of the country, and most of our this are in a foreign language, and of course very technical, even for some other people. So we definitely appreciate. I think I should say that from the beginning. From appreciate the participation of online dishes like yours. Dissecting and explaining to the people
the
what it means.
Especially when I go home, my grandmother, who is over 80 years, is telling me, it's amazing how the information is flowing now.
Yes. And during Jammeh's time, this did not exist. I said our website started, I think we have started our own website in 2018 or 19. I have got quite confused. Around that time, we have a website. Formally, what we do is to pack the books at the library, National Library. If you go there from 2000, because when we took over, the Gambia was not, there was no public accounts for more than 10 years in the country. We work on the backlog to build the accounts and audit them together in collaboration with the Accountant General's Department. Gabu of blessed memory passed away. Then the Accountant General, he had a lot of contribution to build the accounts during this period, and then to also to audit them until we cleansed the accounts. And of course, we took permission from the National Assembly to say that okay, a lot of bad things had happened before, but we cannot sustain. Can we draw a line and pick up? That's what we did in 2007 to begin open up fresh pages for the audits, because some of the figures that we have behind are not sustainable. They are monies that are not in the banks, whatever. So we cleaned it, and then 2007 we begin up fresh pages to build up these things. But it has been, I think, a very informative journey, and we definitely. We are very proud of both staff, both the Accountant General and the National Auditor staff, of the work that they have done. To this date. And the good work is still continuing. I think what they need is continue to do capacity building in this department, because compared to the private sector, except for National Auditor Office, their salary is very good now, But for government, their competitors pay more, and that makes it difficult.
And this is it. This is something that I wanted to come in before we get into more of the reports. Having auditors being a little stable, how important it is to have attractive salaries, because remember, these are people who go audit millions and millions of taxpayer funds. If they are not independent, if they are not stable financially, what is the recipe for that?
Yeah, disaster, because essentially it means they can be easily corrupted. That's why when we got our independence, I did not stop at that. I also look for funds. And negotiated, they have now got transport loan fund so that they can buy cars. They have got a building fund so they can build house for themselves. They have got educational fund so that they can take their children to school.
Good.
All of these have interest, except for the educational fund. That has no interest. If you take Dalasi, it's Dalasi you pay back. So that they can take their children to good schools and pay for them.
And they can live in decent homes.
Wow. Let me tell you that I've never benefited from any of these loans myself, because I was then lived with very few years to retire. So I have never benefited from any loan.
You would have been, other people would have been the first people to benefit from that.
I've never benefited from it. Because one, I will not be able to pay them until before my retirement. I said, okay, then I cannot take.
Wow.
If I can pay it before my retirement, then I cannot take.
Wow, interesting. Now, during Jammeh's time, has there been any time where you're like, okay, at this point I want to leave, because maybe there are challenging times where you have been called to question about certain reports that you have done, or you have been pushed to being bribed, or is there any challenging time during that period before we get to this new dispensation?
Interestingly, no. That's the surprise of the century when we are called about the secure report at the presence. I've never been called to presence of it for my report. Of course, once I've been called, that was for GRA. There was a report on GRA by the internal audit. Then the president called. Then they had a cabinet meeting. He was meeting with the cabinet. He said he was going to take action. He was very angry. Then I said, so when he read the report to me, I said, it will be difficult to comment. Send me a copy. Let me sleep with it. Then tomorrow we can talk. When we talk, I said, no, let me send my people to go and do the audit.
Again.
Because essentially, not that they don't do any good work, but they did not allow the other party to also say their part. That did not happen. I said that is a fundamental error. You can't use this to punish them, because I don't know whatever happened. I don't want to go into that. But essentially, Auditor has gone beyond that now. Formally, that's how audits do. They go work and they write their report. But now you share your report with the auditee, and then he'll comment. If you disagree, you put both yours and his comment in the report and publish it that way, and allow people to be the final judges. So that's how we went back to customs to do the report. And so luckily there was no mishap. And
that was the only time he invited you.
For
20 years.
No, he do, but we have never met. That's the interesting thing. He will call me and say, okay, tomorrow you go. But when I go there, by the time I'm there, he's either out or busy. I say, okay, I'll go. And they said, no, he said he should see the Secretary General. He would have left instruction with the Secretary General to go. And sometimes too, it is about people not turning, because he will ask us to do audits that are outside our mandate. And I say, no, we can't. So he'll ask me to look for auditors for him. I'll appoint auditors, private audit firms for him, to carry out his audits for him. So this is outside our mandate. It is not a public, how do you call it, resources, not public property. we can't. You can give it to private auditors and they will charge and he will pay. Of course, then I'll be calling every time because sometimes when they finish the work and he did not pay, these people will want their money and I'll call, pay. And I'll call, then he'll pay. He'll pay the audit. Yeah, I've done that several times. I think the only audit that we carried for him, that was, because we had that discussion with the secretary at the time, that was Scout. The Scout, how do you call it? The Gambia Scout Association. We did that, we did that, with our properties over the country and all of,
Wow, interesting. Now, in 2016-17, we had a change of government and we had a new government. And the National Audit Office was still very independent, continue doing your job. During this period, a lot of things have come under scrutiny. Yes, it is because of the result of the many media houses in the country. Now information is spread, is everywhere. Today we live stream from the National Assembly. Today we have access to the reports and we distribute it all over and look at the recommendations. How has that helped your work in covering and helping inform people about the role of the National Audit Office, the importance of having all of these reports being publicized openly?
I think in terms of curbing the perpetration of those whatever fraud activities, that is questionable. I'm not sure whether you have done that. But in terms of publicity, I think now audit is more recognized than it has ever been. Everywhere you go now, people talk about audit, the good work that they are doing. Even our detractors do accept that they are doing a very good job. And really, that is our mandate. The Constitution. I always tell person that when they say what is your responsibilities, literally is anything under the sun, because the Constitution said that the auditor can audit all any public, even where a government has a minority interest, that is 1% interest. The Auditor General can audit. So it's like everything. It's like auditing everything. So we don't audit some of these donor projects because those are sometimes donor requirements. But I think even now, most of them have come around. The World Bank now are requesting that we do their audits instead of giving formally they insist to give it to private audit firms, but now they are saying that before I left that they want us to be doing their audits.
The World Bank.
And Global Fund too. We had Global Fund. We had series of meetings and now we have agreed. I think before I left we found out that we should be taking over the audits of their projects for them. And of course, FAO and international community even are aware of the performance of the National Audit Office, that they are asking that their projects be audited by the National Audit Office. Of course, it means a lot of work for the National Audit Office too. But I think it's telling that they can take up. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people had a lot of respect for your personality when you leaded that institution, and people still do have so much respect for the National Audit Office.
Absolutely.
You left your successor. He was at the
internal
audit department. Now he's leading the institution. How confident are you that the foundation that you set, the independence that you advocated for and pushed for, will continue?
I am very confident because CISA2 is not new to me. He was in Accountant General before he went to internal audit. And during that time, when we were building the accounts, he was part of the team from Accountant General that was also working with us to build those accounts, to clean them. And of course, he had done some good job at the internal audit when he was there. We are confident, and I have left a good management team. The ideal thing would have been to select one of our staff, because that's natural. When you are in an institution, you expect to progress. Nobody wants to be to stagnate at one place. So I'm sure most of them were expecting that at least one of them would have been the so it is a disappointment for me and for all of them. And before I left, Even, I had a 1-year contract actually.
Yeah.
Before I retired, 1 year before I retired, I wrote to the president to say that I'll be retiring. Officially, I'll be 60 in a year's time. I never wanted to have that contract. I told my staff that these laws were made by me. I cannot be the first one to break them to come on a contract. I never wanted to come on a contract. But I think circumstances, that is another story. If the Secretary General then would attest to that. We had a lot of discussion over this contracting. I never wanted to take it. So I said that he should begin to look for a replacement. Ideally, of course, it is his prerogative. I have no contribution to who comes after me. That's his prerogative. But I told them this quality of staff that we have. A number of them can take this position. And these are people, some of them 20 years plus with
experience.
Me. Yeah, in that office. There are deputies immediately below me. And I have never, my style of management is consultation. I do that a lot. In that office, we have established certain rules that we don't fail. There must be a management meeting. Even if I am outside the country, we do that every month. Each unit meets every week. They do daily briefings. That is a requirement. You have to do daily briefings before anybody goes out to work. What is done yesterday is always discussed in the mornings before you go. But at the end of the day, Friday, every week, they do have this discussion. We even have a banter bar. We call it market discussions. We have that regularly with staff. What we establish is that consultation. This is so I've never taken any decision in that office without talking to my staff. Yeah. Wow. I think that for me, I've seen great value in it. I'm not saying I haven't made mistakes, but they were very good. The consultation was good. It has helped me a lot. And even if I am not away, they can take those things. Yeah, exactly. But knowing the thinking was like almost the same. Yeah, know what we want from the office. So any of them could have been a suitable replacement. For myself. Yeah, without each. Yeah. I've also, when we had a meeting too, when the new Auditor General, like I said, he has given me, he's respected me. We know each other a long time. We have had a lot of conversation that I told that I've emphasized to him the team that he has, how great they are, and how important it is that he works with them. Because whatever anybody tell you, your legacy is actually what matters. When you leave, what people will say when you leave. And you are going to leave. That's going to happen.
Everybody will definitely leave.
Either you are dismissed, you're sent packing home, you retire, or you die.
Yeah.
You are going to leave. And people will one day talk about those things. Yeah. We have had a lot of discussion in it, so he will be. I think he'll be more concerned with the legacy. The independence of the office is attached to the legacy. They are inseparable. Yeah. If you dilute that independence, then you are not going to have a good legacy. And these people are professionals. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the reports, because I know most of these reports we will be talking about, even now, the ones that are going through the National Assembly was during your time.
Yes.
All of these were during your time.
Absolutely.
Now, before you even retired, one of the major reports that a lot of people cried over and had a lot of row was the COVID funds. When the COVID-19 came, we had a lot of donor agencies pumping money in developing countries. And I've seen countries where people have developed their infrastructures. I remember having Ministry of Health officials on my show, and they were optimistic about how they would have used the COVID funds to develop our health infrastructure. But when your COVID, your audit report came, it was damning. Over $649 million that there were misappropriations. Yes, the Ministry of Health did send in their response to most of these, but let's talk about that report.
Yeah.
How damning was that report?
Yeah, the report was very damning. Clearly, it's one of the greatest disappointment that we had that money because some of the cases are clear case of theft.
Some of the cases?
Yeah.
During that
report.
In that report?
Yeah. Clear cases of theft. But there was no follow-up. Nothing, absolutely. We simply read the reports and that's it. Nothing else happened. Nothing. It's like we throw money down then, but that was serious. And I know people are not stupid.
Yeah.
So when people see that, they say, this, and they think that anything goes.
And then you made recommendations.
We made recommendations. Nothing is implemented. Nothing of that report was implemented at the time.
Do you think by now those there should have been investigations into how that funds were used?
Yeah, if they need, but really some of them, like I said, they are clear cases of outright theft.
So there should be prosecutions on other cases.
You don't need prosecution for some of those things. They are clear cases of outright theft. And the National Audit report report is how do you call it? Of course, there is this law that when we come across cases of theft or suspicious cases of theft or whatever, we should report it to police. But the reports, you can use it at the High Court. Yeah, they are certified reports. The National Audit Office Service is treated as a High Court. Yeah, so once the verdict is done, we can only go to the Court of Appeal. That's why there was this when they said surcharge. The law also said that we should surcharge. Yeah. Auditor General can surcharge. And we have not been doing it. And no people have asked, I said,
why haven't you been doing it?
Yes.
Because you have got the clear information, this person stole public funds.
Yeah.
You have all your evidence. Why haven't you been able to do that?
Yeah, because
if you have those powers.
We needed regulation to guide the process. We need that to administer the surcharge process. You need regulation. We drafted one. We sent it to the National Assembly. They rejected it, saying that there is sufficient regulation in the
this assembly.
No, this was the previous one.
Previous assembly.
Previous one, yeah. And they said it is that there is sufficient regulation. To guys say no, there is no sufficient regulation. I even I surcharged. I say now I have surcharged some people for certain this thing. I think that's not the subject of this thing, but I have surcharged.
You have surcharged.
I have surcharged for some, but nothing came out of it because there is no regulation to guide the process. I just to say. So I went back to them, did a company, they agreed that we did a regulation. We have drafted one. It has been going. We sent it first in 2020, and it has been with the Minister of Finance for quite a long time. They said, then at that time, Mr. Honorable Njai Mambure said he gave it to his technical team to look at it. They never came back to us. We have followed it up. It did not work. We have prepared. So even we drafted one again. We sent it again. Put some additional for the Auditor General staff, National Audit Office staff too. We have put additional injunctions there so that they too, in case they are involved in these malfeasance, for example, bribery and so on, or false reporting and so on, so that we added that and then send it to the Attorney General's chambers. They have reviewed it, and then I sat with the current Auditor General to look at it. There were some omissions. I said, you send it back for them to rectify these things, and then you send it to the National Assembly, because so that they can begin to implement surcharge. Because if the National Assembly is not making recommendations, implementing it, then you need that surcharge to do it. Otherwise, nothing is going to happen.
Nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
So meaning if that is passed at the National Assembly, the auditors will have powers to surcharge people.
Absolutely.
They don't have to wait for FRAP.
Because
the reason why this is important, National Assembly is politicized.
Absolutely.
It's politicized, and what we have seen, they are not acting.
That's the reality.
On the recommendations that you are bringing up.
That's the reality.
So if the auditors have these powers, then they will be able to have powers to surcharge
absolutely
people.
They surcharge, they have surcharge, and the process will be guided. I think that essentially that is what we want when you are surcharged, because essentially one of the recommendations that I put there, that when, for example, Karamaba Touray is surcharged, Karamaba must leave the office until the matter is settled. I think most people are not comfortable with that.
I doubt if this.
But that. If you don't do that, then they'll mess up with the investigation, whatever investigation is going to take place, and then you will not succeed. That is important. We discussed that myself and the Auditor General. That's important that when a surcharge is done, the person step aside. Yeah. Be it the permanent secretary, whatever, until the matter is resolved. Yeah. I think in some countries, in fact, when you are surcharged, you cannot appeal. You have to pay part before you can even appeal. Yeah, you have to pay part of the surcharge
before you can appeal.
Yeah. But of course, you step out of the office and until the matter is resolved.
Wow. Yeah. Now, a lot of people also, let's look at secure report.
Secure report.
49 million taxpayer money that was paid like for absolutely doing nothing.
Yeah.
And when you looked at that report, I think that, did you say that was the report why you were summoned at the State House?
Yes, we were called at State House, of course.
Tell us
essentially
about
to look,
Let's look at that secure report. A lot of Gambians have issues with the entire project. How we pay, I mean, when you travel, you always have to think about how much you're going to pay at the airport going in and out.
Absolutely.
But the fact that it is not even economically viable for us as a country, because looking at the report,
let me say that apart from taking money from people, what else what value is it adding? The secure report.
But I'm saying, would it be fair to say that at least if the money that is being collected is pumped back into our economy, is it part of it? Do we get a percentage of it, right?
Yes, they do get a percentage of it. Yeah. But the purpose of secure report, as the name implies, is for security reasons.
Yeah.
And let me say that for me, what they needed is to upgrade the immigration department. Upgrade to include some of these facets, because there are a number of issues. They are taking people's information, people's detailed information.
Yeah.
Who gets custody?
Access to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And final custody.
And this is not a
where are guarantees
agency
that they are not shared?
And this is not a government agency.
Absolutely.
Now that is very. I never thought about that part.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Who gets to keep that information?
Yeah.
What controls are there? There are arguments. But the fact is that for me, I say, when I look at it, I say this is a scam. Initially, they came. They wanted 10 years project. And the Attorney General's advice that they should reduce it to 5. They sought advice from the Attorney General's chambers. They advised that these things should be reduced to 5. No, they increased it to 15.
The Attorney General said reduce it to 5. That was the recommendation.
Yes.
After sorting for the recommendation, Attorney General said no, reduce it to 5. Instead, they increased to 15.
Increased it to 15. Why did they increase to 15?
Which office did that?
This is a project. It's an office of President project.
Office of the President.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what they said, the reason was that because since the signing of the contract, they have not been able to receive revenue and implementation, whatever. That's why they are refused to 15. So that's why we queried, why are you paying this 149 million? Because that's what they claim because of delay. Yeah, delay on that thing. That's why they are claiming that
149.
Yeah.
For absolutely doing nothing.
Yeah. They are claiming that that's not their fault, it's the government fault, that's why. But that's why they also said it's increased from 10 to 15. So that there should be no payment.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. You increase it to 15, then there will be no payment. Initially, you should have stopped at 10. Now we are increasing it to 15.
We still pay you
because of the late start.
And we still pay you 149.
No, they claim that, and I understand internal audit said no, you can't claim, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
They cannot claim for that because already they have been compensated by increasing it to 15 years.
Yeah.
So they could not have claimed for that money, but they went ahead and paid, even regardless. They went ahead and paid that money. It is an unnecessary burden that government has put the country into. Essentially, that is it. It is not necessary. They are doing anything beneficial for us apart from collecting money. I can't see the benefit of secure report apart from collecting money. If for me, because these things are available in other countries, and the provisions have been free of charge. The Japanese government have done this upgrade, what security report for other countries free of charge, part of their Japanese assistance, and I know they approached the government to do the same. Whether they have implemented it, I think that, but they have offered to do the same.
The Japanese have offered Gambia government.
Yeah, to upgrade the immigration, the border distance to that point, so that they can keep this type of information. What security are they keeping for us? Security police is not doing anything apart from collecting money. And nothing discernible. I don't know of any. Maybe it is a secret thing, but I don't know of any discernible benefit of secure report.
But when you raise these audit queries, what was the response of the Office of the President to ask to why they made that payment, and also
no. For us, I think we are the problem. As far as of the President is concerned, we are the problem. We are raising unnecessary questions. Essentially, that is it. That was the idea.
And you were summoned to the State House? Yeah,
we are summoned to the House. Then they were looking for ways, from my conversation with the President was there himself, and looking for ways to see how they can mitigate. And my advice was that scrap this.
Scrap it?
Yeah.
You told the President?
Yeah, I said scrap this. Oh, but that was something that, not something that they were considering. They were seeing how best to fit it into this system. That was very clear from that meeting, and that was the last time we were invited to the meeting. Of course, there were other advices that I gave in regards related to the contract that they wanted me to do. Was on hindsight, I should not have done, but I did it. I made a write-up and sent it to them for it. On hindsight, I told myself, this is something that you should never do again.
Yeah.
Because we are not the authority on legal matters. There is the Attorney General Chambers. In fact, the opening remark from that write-up that I made, that was it. Yeah. The appropriate authority to have answered this is the Attorney General Chambers.
How frustrating was that incident, considering you are an independent body, you provide oversight function to government? How frustrating would you say it was interference for you to be called by the Office of the President to come and discuss something like that?
I think it is. But already the scene has been set by the Banjul Rehabilitation Project. The amount of noise that was coming at the time, we clearly, and the government going to defend the contractor, not even discussing this matter with us. So I wasn't disappointed with secure reporting. I was prepared for this thing, that anything goes now. But we will do what we see, because we all have our own area. I always said we all have our areas of operations. We are a reporting agency, and that report we must do to the best of our ability. If nobody decides to act on it, that's fine. But these reports will be there for posterity. You never know.
You never know. And I was going to come to the Banjul project. Even the layman, somebody like me, I'm thinking if you put that kind of money in Banjul, we would have seen the impact. Iko nya ni kodo na dunta hanira so kono jang nimbungo kono ne wuli kemelu dundi jang ibala nyi nyajela.
Absolutely.
So the Banjul rehabilitation project, a lot of people, I mean, the president was so eager and said he wanted to rehabilitate Banjul, because what we see every year in, year out, the country, the Banjul flooding. But up to 2 years after or 3 years after that project, Banjul still flooded in July, this rainy season.
Absolutely.
And up to now, we have seen stakeholders in this project coming out with the contractor and giving excuse to the residents of Banjul, saying, Lindogali yalala, let's look at how to way forward. Now, when you see government taking that approach, most especially the government,
it's disappointing, very frustrating. But from our report, you can see. In as much as the government, the president would want to rehabilitate Banjul, this was a project that was cooked and prepared before he was aware of it. That was very clear, and we said that in our report. Before he made this announcement, these people are prepared. Work has begun and everything. Before the government, the president knew what was happening. This was prepared. It has started. From our report, I think that was very clear. And
I remember when it was that story was broken by Kerr Fatou Mustafa, now Malagan, when he did a story investigative report on the Banjul project. And I remember when he did the interview, even before we aired it, I was so scared to even put that interview out, even to put that story out, because the details of what was happening, how the project was even started, initiated, how it started, even before it was approved by the National Assembly or Cabinet or whatever, and the private partnership PPP arrangement that they made, the technical know-how of the contractor, the financial muscles he had.
They haven't done anything.
They have not done any due diligence.
There was no due diligence. That was it. Essentially, it was intended to defraud the government. That was it. Clearly, it's a case of It's a scam project. It's a case of seeing what they can get from this. And let me tell you, the project at ISIS, a number of phases have not been completed. That is going to affect Banjul. That's going to affect Banjul seriously. Yeah? If the amount of rain that we have this year, last year, if we have that this year,
Banjul is going to flood.
Yeah, you may see, even worse things, yeah, in Banjul. It is a case, but.
And when you saw government, the entire government machinery, I think it was 8 ministers. The contractor was nowhere to be seen. Absolutely. Government came to defend the position of the contractor. I even did PowerPoint presentations. As the head of the audit report, government trying to come against your report in that strongest way. How did that feel? How was the morale of your staff at that point?
Yeah, of course, I think there was general despondency in the office. People I said, but I spoke to them. Look, this is not beyond you. You must understand that. I think, like I said here, we have our values. We have lowered the bar so much so that anything goes. You don't see that anywhere in in the world. A contractor, let him go and defend himself if he has any issues. If what you're serious, what the proper thing would have been, the sort of a task force to look at the audit report and then query, ask the the contractor to respond. But the contractor is nowhere to be seen. You go and answer for them. It's a new thing. I've never had it anywhere in the world.
That never even happened during Jammeh's time. Huh? That never even.
No, wait. And Jammeh's time that would not happen. Contractors will.
The contractor would have been in mile 2.
Everybody knows that. Look at this thing. We did a report on this thing corner when they were making.
Corner.
That road. Kopri. We did a report on that at Jammeh's time. He left, of course, but did we have some of his stuff we had taken to. They gave this food meal. We did a report on that. That Gambia food and feed. The meal, when we go into Banjul, those tanks that there, we did a report on that. It's there. You know, those people did not come with Butut in the country. They got Musca. It's a scam. You see, when I knew, particularly this African contractual countries, you will have experience this kind of things. People will come to get money from, fleece you. And people have done that a lot, particularly in this new dispensation. But this Gambia food and feed too, they don't come with anything. They collected money from ports, from Social Security, and which was the other third party. I now forgot about that. And that's what they started business, and they were scamming the country. Until we went in. So, it was Jammeh himself said, we want you to look, feed and feed. Before we complete, the Arabs left. Because they knew what was coming. They did not come with anything. All the thing that is spent on this is government money from parastatals.
So definitely the Banjul project was
and it's going to continue to
because what we have seen up to now, the project is extending. The initial price of what it was 35 point something. Now it has gone up to 37 point something and counting.
Nobody knows when it's going to end.
Nobody knows when it's going to end and how much is going to end.
I don't know. Maybe it is intended to be a cash cow. You know, people also have cash cow projects. Never-ending projects, you can go one from the other, We argued. The first, they did not have the capacity. That was very clear. He don't have the financial muscle. That was very clear. Eventually, government get to funding it regularly. They put it into the budget eventually.
Yes.
And that was not the idea.
That was not the idea. The idea was he was supposed to fund it, pre-finance, and government will pay it. But now it is in all of our. Every year it is reflected in our budget.
Because why that?
But would you blame the National Assembly also for approving something like that? Because they have the contract document. It was never supposed to be part of our national budget.
Absolutely.
Now it is. It's supposed to be a pre-finance to be paid over a period of time. That is why the price reflected that much. Would the National Assembly also take a part of the blame?
Of course. It's the budget that they pass. And their duty is to scrutinize this budget and then pass. Maybe they don't even have time to look. Do they know?
Do they look? Wow.
That's the one. Whether they know, in fact, this is what is happening. That is also
interesting. Now let's look at the timber trade. I saw that recently also. what was fascinating for me is having private individuals who are not part of the government establishment collecting Gambia government taxpayers' money on behalf of government. Is that a good practice of governance?
No, it is not. And we reported it and said it is illegal for them to be doing that. But what happened with the report? With those reports?
What happened to that report?
Yeah, we have nothing.
It's only the media reporting it, nothing else.
That's all.
But the amount of money that was also involved,
it's a huge,
it's a huge amount.
Yeah. So, and when some people who were involved, when they saw our report, they said even on the reported that it is in fact more than that. Some people told me, look, even on the reported, it's more than that. Because they had access to some things that we did not have.
Yeah.
If international trade, you look at these things, they may not know what is left Gambia, but what is received from Gambia. Could be somebody from the other end could see this number of timber has come from the origin has been Gambia, and they can value it. And when they did that, they said, you have actually underreported. This amount is far, far above what you have reported.
Wow.
And that's the case. Because essentially, most of the timber trade that had Gambia doesn't produce timber, of course, we all know.
Of course,
it's coming from Senegal.
It's going,
yeah. Most of the timber that they confiscated and whatever, the idea is they sell it onward sell, but the amount, the proceeds are never accounted for. They are never recorded anywhere. That has been the idea. If you look at our GOTG reports, there was 50 million that we mentioned in that timber thing, and it's also in our final public accounts of the Gambia report of 2019, I think, 2019. That 50 million is supposed to be paid to Senegal. But what we know, Senegal did not take the money, accept the money.
Why is that 50 million?
They returned. Yeah, it's in the air. I don't think it has still landed. Of the time I left, it
was supposed to be paid to Senegal.
Yeah.
Senegal did not receive the money.
No. Senegal did not accept the money.
They did not accept, and we cannot still account for that 50 million.
No.
$50 million.
No, that was dollars. No, it was $50 million. It was dollars. It was dollars. Yeah. Wow. That was part of the last batch of timber proceeds that have been sold. But the other ones, of course, have gone. I have not come across any payment to Senegal. I think that was the only time we saw that payment. But here are regulations. We have got very good regulations. Not that the regulations, but people simply don't follow regulations.
Yeah.
And there are no consequences for them. So.
Wow. Now let's also look at I know you guys don't do global funds because obviously now you'll be starting, but this audit report that they did on their own, and they said 10 million of their funds was misappropriated, and they were going to charge Gambia government 20 million if they don't pay back. And there was this letter that was leaked that the minister wrote to the global funds recommending to get the installment payments of 4 installments of the 10 million. And this is going to be paid by the taxpayers, even though that money was not put into the project.
I think they also said they have set up an investigation panel. I think what they should have done, what I'm thinking, that the idea is that once the investigation is done, the culprits will be made to pay back the money, whatever it is, of course. Meanwhile, they will pay these people so that when they recover this money from the culprits, then it will be reimbursed. The government did not say that, but that's what I should expect. Because most of these things, I understand there are compliance issues. But essentially, like I said, the reaction to some of these events are always the wrong steps to take. Somebody has taken money. They said their monies have been inflated, and this is a serious issue because Global Fund they supply these malaria drugs and other drugs to the country. fair, of course, to use the public funds to pay for some people's mistakes. Yes. That would be a thing too. But like I said, it's as if they have no idea of what steps to take in case of these things that happen.
And one other thing that everybody started pointing fingers. I remember having Amadou Sane here, and he said, yes, they were recommended to close, and we closed them. But I never knew they had opened some of these at the office of the president. And some of them, their names came out. You know, I remember a lot of people politicized that. People started calling you that you are helping the opposition.
Yes.
But when the opposition leaders, even their names came out, then
the noise died down.
The noise died down. But the importance of that was this. Me and you even could have traveled on that money and not knew where the payment was coming from.
I said so.
But the fact that you recommended for those accounts to be closed and they were closed and reopened again, because government came out and said they were not open again. They even had a presser or a press release or a press conference on that. Now, was that really the case? It was closed and then reopened?
Yeah, that was what happened. They opened it again. Essentially, because we did not also come to know about these accounts during Jammeh's time, because it's almost off the book. Now, this security account, when we asked for bank balances from the central bank, they never said this security account with us. We only come to know the existence after Jammeh left. So when we realized that, and of course, we know the history of what has happened to that account. People go with kids to the central bank, even during Sundays, to collect dollars.
Raw cash.
So we said, no, this should be closed. There was this one, because the reason that was given at that time was that to fast track presidential travels and whatever. But we have our IFMIS. It's all computerized. There's no delay in the processing of this payment. So it's not necessary. Let's simply close it to avoid this kind of, malpractice that has happened before. That's why we close it. But they went behind and then open it again and be using it for that purpose. Go pay government monies and pay it in there so that they can fast track. Said, no, close. That's why they are able to make jobs. And most of the time, the idea is it is not only to fast track, but also to do things without any following regulations. Generally, that is it. So you can even do frontal activities within it. That possibility is very high.
The argument was sometimes the bureaucracy in government. If you want to go through the Auditor General and just to get your payment, sometimes State House would want money quick to be able to do something. Was that not a good justification?
No, that would not be a good. Like I said, the accounts have been computerized. You sit at a press of button to do the transactions now. And you know, government essentially that is expected. How do you call it? The bureaucracy, government is general everywhere. Sometimes it's definitely frustrating, but that's not the excuse. That's why you plan your budget. Planning is essential. You don't just government just get up and say, okay, we are going to change this house today. You don't do that in government. That's why there are those plans. That's why we have budgets and whatever. So essentially, there's no excuse. That cannot be. Particularly an office like the OP, no.
And even the OP rehabilitation, the building, you would say that this was in 2017, we had a new government and the president was living somewhere for security reasons, they needed to rush and rehabilitate the State House. Would that be a justification to say they could have rushed things and do it in a proper way? Because, I mean, remember, that is also the security of the president, the first citizen of the country. Would that not be a justification to do things without following all the regulations that the National Audit will be looking for?
No. I think most of the time, the issue of, urgency is really defeated by the fact that if you look at the progress you find out that in fact there was no need to worry. For example, let me think the COVID thing for you. When they said they went for those vehicles and we are paying so much money, the drugs, there's so much money. instead of taking freight, the plane and so on, they said because, but you find out that even if they have taken freight, this would have come a long time. Yeah, exactly. So usually the justification that they put is just that's just a cover to do whatever they want to do. It is, there is never, that renovation exercise, you find the contract was inside, they simply ask the man to go and work. You don't do that anywhere. This is not your money.
But it's the same contractor that was doing this rehabilitation and the Banjul project. It's the same contractor.
Yes. Let me tell you, the contractor once met her and he said, I understand you are leaving in November.
He said that to you? Wow.
I said yes. And then he said in Wolof, Sangur bi sonal nama. Yes, he said, since Yaya Jammeh's time, young Mato.
Wow.
You remember maybe you do not see it, but if you go to our website, you've seen a project on social security. This is the project Cobalt.
Yep.
Do you know it's the same
contractor? Yes, the social security. Yep.
And if we had probably some of the report, we don't have small reports like that. We had an history with the contractor. Yes. And the people, governments are smart. You get associated with the party first family and then you are covered. Yeah. And they have been doing that all the time. But I always say that the reports are there for posterity. You never know when people will say, okay, go and get that report and we look at it. Yeah. And then you find out that your castle will unravel at some point.
And he said, I heard you living in November.
Yes.
Sangur Bisonal Nama. Yes, but he's forgetting this is an institution.
Yes.
An independent one.
Absolutely.
It continues.
But how did he come to know even
that you were living in November?
That's the question. How did you come to know that I live in November?
Interesting. Yeah. Now let's look at councils, the councils.
The councils, yes.
Recently, we have also seen the councils at the National Assembly. I have said one thing: the councils are closest to the people. We accept development from them. And I have always said, I think for us to be able to have meaningful development coming from councils, we need decentralization. Because the way councils operate, unless and until they are decentralized, us, the residents, will not feel most of the development.
Absolutely.
And this is what we are seeing.
Absolutely.
Now, all of the councils are, except the Brikama Area Council, that was done before. The other councils have been going to refurb committee recently. And questions were raised. You did, it was during your tenure also that audit report was raised. I can confidently say the damning report that we have in other reports is way, way damning than what we are seeing in councils. We all have access to this.
They are not comparable.
They are not comparable. Now tell us what you know about the reports coming from the councils.
For the council, let me begin. Councils, like I said, there is first the issue of capacity. Councils, the report of the councils does not used to come to the National Assembly. I remember when I want to start it, some CEO said it's never going to happen. I brought them to the National Assembly. Oh. They never used to come here. I brought them to National. I said, in fact, you people, according to your act, there's this Local Government Act 2002, we say 60% of their revenue should go back to the community, development community. Yeah. I said, so if anything, the accountability to the people is even more than that of the central government. Yeah, the money that you owe should always be explained. So you need to go to the people's representative to explain those monies. I also set up a unit dedicated only to the building of their capacity, helping them to build their capacity in terms of advising them and also auditing their accounts. And they have come very far from accounts that you don't understand to at least now, because you can question the credibility, but they are very fine. And the leading councils, let me tell you, actually, are KMC, Banjul, and Mansakonko.
KMC?
And Basse, of course.
KMC, Banjul,
Mansakonko, and Basse. Yeah.
And
then it's, if you
is that in terms of compliance?
Yeah, in terms of performance, in terms of, and even in terms of preparing credible financial statement. And of course, Brikama is coming up very fast. Brikama also have been doing very well. But this is just in the last few years. Councils have never been like this. Some don't even used to prepare accounts because
Wow.
They have no idea. They have no idea.
They have
really.
no capacity as well.
No, capacity is
It's
a
very
major
low.
issue.
Yeah.
Issue there, and you spoke about decentralization. The force of decentralization is that they take over, and you can see the good idea behind the process, decentralization process, because then councils will be competing against each other in terms of service delivery. When you own your own teachers, for example, this council pays its teachers, its police services, and so on. We can see the idea behind it. So it is a very good idea. But at this rate, you can't. If you give your money to some of these councils, it will be mismanaged, likely.
Yeah.
If you give, for example, at some point, teachers may not be paid.
Yeah.
It may be difficult.
Because,
because for government to, in terms of its own, usually it's difficult to take care. Governments need to do some payments to them, and I know
it's not coming
from history. They struggle to get that money from. In terms of royalties and so on, they struggle to get those monies from
even
council.
25% of their development fund is supposed to come from
so
government.
they need a lot of work, but definitely they are doing very well, and I think the trajectory that they have taken, eventually we will see the benefit of our councils very much in this place.
But
I think they are doing well.
Mr. Touray, the report is saying that most of them, their accounting, their books are not either balanced or some vouchers are missing. Who is to blame when it comes to stuff like that? Because we have seen in certain councils, for example, in KM, what was queried by your auditors is the system. They are not particularly saying there was some mismanagement or anything. They're saying the system that KM is using is not audit friendly for them to be able to access. So they cannot determine the amount that KM is claiming that that's what they made. They cannot determine it because they are not able to have audit trails on those systems.
Absolutely.
Now, when I had the KM mayor here, he said this has to boil down to performance. It has to capacity. Our staff, they don't have those capacity, and we don't employ these people. They're employed by central government. We don't even have a role to play in this. Now, apart from those kinds of instances, there are other councils also where they have also raised issues of lost receipts or invoices and others. Who is to blame? Is this something that you will still say it has to do with capacity, or do you think these are deliberate trails of having mismanagement in councils?
Some of them, you see, people also like to keep the they like to keep the recording system in such disarray so that they can do whatever they want to do. But councils too, in addition to that too, there is capacity issue. There are definitely capacity issue in all councils. I have always said that they need to build their capacity to be able to manage these things, computerize their systems to eliminate some of these ways, because now the digitalization is the way forward for everything. Most of the time it is the finance director and the CEO, because these are the CEO is the accounting officer. Of course, his immediate deputy in terms of accountability is the finance director. These are the two people that manage this system. And I remember during our conversation is that I think they were using QuickBook, if I can remember definitely. But the staff actually operating are not even familiar with it. The necessary training that should have been done before we begin the implementation did not happen. I know some of these councils have adopted and abandoned a number of systems. Over the years because of inoperability, because they cannot operate some of those systems for lack of capacity. I think most of the time, let's say it is largely about capacity issues. If they can fix those things and the right candidates and those people, I'm sure they will pick up. I think it's largely capacity. That's what you can blame for most of, because you wouldn't know. But of course, like I said, it favors the how do you call it? This kind of confusion state also helps other people to do whatever, because there's no system to, there's no check and balances, so it's easy for them to do whatever they do. But largely it's the capacity. If they can resolve those capacity issues, you have people who can operate your accounting system for you, your procurement systems or whatever, then these problems will be eliminated. In terms of how do you call it, record keeping, like I said, digitalization would have eliminated that. You can destroy the voucher, but when it is already in the system, machine operated, then
you cannot do that.
You can recreate the voucher even to to replace that one.
So out of all these audit reports, from the COVID funds to the security port to AKI, I don't know even if you guys have done any investigation on that. I don't know. Have you guys done anything on AKI?
No, we did not do.
Because you were still dealing with 2019, 2020. Okay, from COVID funds to security port to the timber trade to the special accounts. I even saw the social security contributions also that came up last week at the National Assembly. All of those things, you made recommendations. Was there any particular, including councils, was there any particular ones that you have recommended investigations or even commissions of inquiry?
No, we don't. No, I think in regards to commission of inquiry, no. In fact, we will not. We have never recommended for any commission of inquiry. Like I said, for us, where we have come across cases of suspected
theft,
we simply inform the police to carry out investigation on that particular area or aspect of the and then inform us. That's all we would ask for. We have not asked for any investigations for those things. That is the prerogative of the executive. But of course, if the executive is coming to defend those people they are supposed to investigate, you will not expect any investigation. That's why when I had this, how do you call it, commission of concern on councils, and there is this allegation of witch hunting, I said they would be right. If you have somebody stole $10, you don't say anything. Somebody took $10 and you talk, then people will say,
is that the evaluation you are giving? Councils compared to, I said this on my show, and somebody said I'm wrong.
No, you are not wrong.
The entire councils combined.
You are not wrong.
The mess we're talking about is way
not comparable.
Less than 10% of COVID funds.
You cannot equate them.
Okay.
We are talking about millions here. When you are talking about thousands in this, you can't compare them.
So are you saying it's not the right call to have a commission of inquiry? Because somebody said, even as we speak, the councils are not even done at the FRAP right now. KMC is supposed to go back, and I think Janyambure is also supposed to go back. Now, having a commission of inquiry whilst the FRAP report is not even done, how would you say that this is your report, something you overlooked, you checked? How concerned are you that a lot of people are now seeing your report as political? People are politicizing the different camps, when you do reports that are favorable to government, that side will politicize it. When you do something that is against government, the other camps will also politicize it. What position does that put you in?
A difficult one. I think I've said that in the COVID report. You remember when it came out to, that was the allegation. I had to go and explain in the media that in fact I kept this report after it was released. It was before it was received. They had received it some 5 to 6 months before I released it to the general public. The idea is we don't want it politicized, because then that defeats the purpose of the audit itself, which is to make amends, how do you call it, regularize situations and so on. Because the entire is to improve the system. But when you politicize it, then that's not going to happen, because nobody will take care. These people will support it and the other will rubbish it, and nothing going to happen. So we have always concerned with the use of our reports for political gains. It is a concern, because it is going to undermine the credibility of office itself.
Actually, I watched one of the interventions during when Banjul was at the FRAP, and I saw how the auditor, he was struggling, because they just don't want to, they want to be so independent, but whenever the question was asked to the CEO or the finance director, the FRAP committee member was pushing it to the mayor, and the auditor was like, look, we're just here to do our job, we don't want part of in any. So you could see the frustration.
Again, that accounting from the reality is that is the CEO. That's the accounting officer. You have a political head. Of course, he has his responsibilities in terms of overall management.
Yeah.
But the accounting officer, the one you are going to hold by the cuff of neck, is the CEO. He's the accounting officer. He is responsible for the financial administration of the institution.
But
in fact, I'm saying, if the mayor wants to buy a table and it's not in order, that is for example, he can refuse. There are regulations guiding their relationship. That's very clear in both their finance and audit act and regulations. So really, the issue of they need to be there to support their team, the mayors and the council, how do you call it, the chairperson, chairperson of these things. They need to be there to support their team. But actually, the people in the hot seat should be the CEO and his finance director to answer those questions, because they are responsible for them. They are the people responsible.
And you were saying it is not the right call to have a commission on.
For me, no. For me, no.
But you would have said, you would have said, yeah, this is a good step in the right direction. Corrupt practices in councils is being investigated.
No,
because this is your report.
Look, we will be trivializing commissions. The commissions should be set up for purposes other than this politicality, particularly when you have millions reported as problems with millions somewhere. You don't know anything, only to come with few thousands and say we must look at this. We are trivializing commissions, and eventually, what I also said, eventually what is going to happen if they are using audit reports, it's going to undermine the effect of audit reports now. Now it's going to also put pressure on the auditors now. I only hope they will not be negotiating their positions now when they go to audit. People say, look, if you write this is going to happen, and what is going to happen. I only hope that will not happen, that they'll still continue to write it as they see it, report as well. Because this is going to put them under a lot of pressure. And of course, they are also Gambians, yeah? They will have their political inclinations.
They have families.
Yeah, and political inclinations too.
Yeah.
Either for the ruling party or the opposition. They'll all be there.
Yeah. If they start getting this kind of pressure,
exactly.
Their independence might be
compromised, of course.
Compromised at some point.
Compromised. If they will be, the idea of audit is to go with an open mind. Now they will be going prepared. Maybe I'll go prepared to make sure Karamaba is in trouble, for example. Or to go and say, okay, whatever Karamaba does is good. We not look at, let's try and protect him. And those things, those are detrimental to the purpose of audit itself, and that we need to take that out. For me, setting up this commission is trivializing the importance of a commission. We have seen the commissions that have passed before. When Yaya set up this Paul commission, for example, everybody knew that it was for which one.
Yeah,
exactly. You want some people, you deal with them, and then that was it. He set up another commission for really, that was on our report too. This taxpayer thing, large taxpayers, and we did that report when Fatoumata was. Then he wasn't even the minister, Singate. He was then, I don't know what was his. But he was responsible. Then Sabali was also I think Sabali was the Secretary General at the time.
He was the Secretary to the Commission, right? Was it that one?
No. There was a commission text on this tax.
Oh, tax, yeah.
Non-compliance. We did a report on it at the time, and they used that report, and it pained us. Yeah, it pained us. That report was also used for that kind of for going after people. Because they named some people and did not name others people who were on the report.
Those were on the report.
Yeah. So it's always difficult when the report is used to victimize people
and leave others out.
Then that makes it difficult, and it defeats the entire process. And that's why, in fact, implementation becomes difficult. Because when you make rules and then you begin to make exceptions, then the whole thing is you might as well forget about it.
Yeah.
And once what I see, if you are going to set a commission for specific council, set it for entire commission, how all councils are commissioned, maybe.
Yeah.
So in the view to improving their management and so on, maybe that will be fine. But saying that there are a lot of corruption on some councils, it's funny. Almost all councils, all of them have problems, yeah?
Yeah.
All of them, yeah?
All of them.
Like I said, some of them are
better than others.
Yeah. You have them that have come up since we have started this collaboration with them and engagement.
Wow. Now, all of these reports and the damning revelations coming from reports must have impact on our donor agencies. You know, what do you think, what are some of the effects you think this report, the damning revelations, will have on our, our partners, the donor agencies who are pumping money in the country?
Yeah, actually, one, they'll be circumspect when giving money, but you know that we have been downgraded by Transparency International.
Yes,
we have moved from 37 now to 34.
Wow.
Now we have got 34 points this year. Last year. So that is one, and our partners do watch those aggregates. They do that gradings. They look at them very closely. They looked at what is going to increase that interference in our admin. They give you money and give you conditions as to how you operate instead of letting you go and use it.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that are going to happen. A lot of interference, and they will not allow you to use it as you wish, as they used to. And of course, some simply holding their posts, not giving you.
Wow.
Because of definitely. Like this recent allegation, that's why it's going to lead us. And like I said, if global funds would move out of our districts, it will have serious impact in our drug supply.
Yeah,
in the country.
That is why government is swiftly coming up and saying, no, we are going to refund.
Yes.
That's the small money, $10 million. But you know, the fact is, even if it was not for the leakage of that letter on social media, would we have had government reaction? Exactly. This is the issues that a lot of people will say, and whenever you say these things, people will say there should be some transparency. If these things happen, there are people and we have not had for any formal investigations apart from when the ministry reacted to the release of that letter.
You know, at some point I said leakages of documents have stopped when the IR left, because now people can. But it appears now, because of this, government incessant, siding with perpetrators instead of government, people are now going underground. I'm sure that must have caused this leakage. Somebody said because he knew it's not going to come out. But government should provide that level of transparency, because what it does is that it keeps people on their toes. If you play your cards on the table, then people know what is happening. There is no speculation. But if you tend to sit on it, then it will always create problems. This global thing, I only hope it's not enough to say investigation. They must make a stop to it. What specific things are they going to put in place to make sure that it did not happen again?
Do you think the setting of the anti-corruption bill will help? It is at the National Assembly right now.
Yes, I'm saying that. For anti-corruption, it must have the executive support. If it did not have that, it's going to be very much different. The audit, National Audit Office, it's a good benchmark.
It is.
For me, I said, if you create independent DPP, you set up an independent DPP, take it out from the
Ministry of Justice. Yes,
absolutely.
We need to have that. Yes,
and you have, for example, public whatever. An audit are able to this set them separate. And they have the executive support.
Public prosecutor.
You may not even need then
anti-corruption.
Yeah. You may not need an institution then. Wow. Definitely.
And that will has to come from central government.
Yeah, it has to come from central government. That's why they said, if you look at the bill itself, first it is sensitization, go to people and say what it entails and whatever. It has to have government support, a lot of executive support. It will need that a lot, more than the National Audit Office. It will need a lot of, if you do not have that, then forget it. It will be just a mere distance.
And finally, Mr. Touray, again, the National Audit Office. I know this office has come through a lot of roller coaster attacks, sometimes from the ruling government, sometimes from the opposition. Whoever the report doesn't favor comes after them. But I've always said that only strengthens the independence of that body, because you know, everybody belongs somewhere. But sometimes you see how they come after people. As long as the report is, this is the report, that's what they brings out. The independence, how can the office continue to strengthen that independence, even with this atmosphere that we are in right now? Their reports is what everybody is our go-to place right now for political points. It is our go-to place when we want to victimize each other. It is our go-to point when I see sometimes when we even write stories about auditors. At some point, I have stopped putting the face of the auditors who in question, because you might be bringing them into danger, but when they are just doing their job. Now, what do you think in this with all these situations going on, how can they strengthen their independence and still operate as an independent body?
Yeah, I think what essentially they should strengthen their professionalism, because I always say that the tension between government and the national audit office is a necessary thing.
Yeah,
you should always expect that this should happen.
Yeah.
Or we will not be doing our job. If you are doing our job well, there must be this tension between us and government, because government are our main clients.
Yeah.
They are the main this is that we audit. So that is expected. But and the regulations in the act, I think there is sufficient safeguard for the Auditor General. What I have done with the act is that he cannot be dismissed like that. But actually, from hindsight, we have reviewed that again to add additional distance in the amendment that is, except if a tribunal is set, a competent judge, and they will name a qualified account and so on, to put them there. And that could be for a specific reason, largely for incompetence or malpractice. Yeah. So we have... And you know, we have put a time limit for the Auditor General.
Auditor General, yeah.
9 years, not renewable.
Not renewable.
Yes.
Wow.
And what we have done there, because we do not need to, we are disposing of, suppose after the 9 years they put it on acting. When my own acting came, we thought about that. Now I said no, because the Constitution also said that Auditor General, you can delegate all of this except for the public accounts of that cannot be delegated. And that cannot be done by an acting Auditor General. That has to be done by the Auditor General. So probably that will prevent them from anybody from, how do you call it, using that over the head of Auditor General to say you must do my bidding. But of course, all of these rules can be breached. You know that it can be breached, and you know, for example, if Yaya can dismiss judges at the time, you know, anything can happen. And for Africa, don't take anything. Yes.
In the Gambia. I mean, there's some independence in the judiciary, and we have seen things. So
absolutely.
Hopefully,
so if anything, they should continue to look at those things. Their greatest ally should be the National Assembly, because this is who they report to. The National Assembly. But of course, you know that.
And how would you assess? I was going to come to that when you finish. Yeah, when you finish with this.
With this partisanship that you have there, that's a difficult thing. You need. I always said that in National Assembly it will be difficult because the members will go and come, but the secretariat, the clerk's office, that's what we need to work on. During my time as Auditor General, anytime I talk to our partners, I say, help the National Assembly. Bring them experts to be able to analyze the budget, the audit reports, to help the members to make decisions. But of course, if you have people bent on this partisan thing too, that's also, but then you have the technical capacity sitting at the clerk's office, so that whenever there is changes, they can assist the national members to do their job correctly. They need that. They need that very
What do you
much.
think we have the required capacity to be able to assess these reports and also look at our national budgets when they come? Do we have the capacity?
It is lacking.
At the National
lacking.
Assembly?
They do have some, but they need more capacity. Yes, they need experts in those. You see, the National Assembly members don't have to be expert in anything. That they needed just support. They need to have that core of experts from the secretariat that could do the analysis for them, and the budget, and then
give them skeletons so they can develop.
Exactly. That's what they needed, and that's what the clerk office need to work on. You need to work on that as fast as possible. We have all discussed this during my time always to see how these capacities and the Public Finance Act actually give them powers to bring in those experts. Why they are not bringing them? Maybe But that's what they needed to do for every field, particularly on this. Budget. But they're not only the budget, because here I said we have nothing increasable: education, health, and agriculture. They are my priority. They have always been my priority. These are issues that I audit year on year. Of course, on finance. I always go to finance, either at GRA or whatever, look at this. But education, if we get these three right, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. If they can get experts on this to see how they can support, it will be very good. It will be very for the country.
Finally, with your wealth of experience, over 40 years of service, having an idea as to what our budget is, knowing all of these departments to your fingertip, looking at all of them, their numbers for the past 40 years, what would be your advice to the executive? How we can develop this country from where we are to where it's needed to be?
That's a difficult one, because essentially, like I said, we are not endowed with resources. This is a resource-poor country, considered, and the area that could have developed us, we were all aware when we were very little, the contribution of the agricultural sector to our economy. All along this river, there were, depots and, ports for these granule sectors. All along, I remember when we were at MT school, sometimes you see these cargoes, unmanned cargoes passing through. We know there's groundnut. We'll swim, climb up, steal groundnuts, and get. Because groundnut actually, and I understand at that time, from what I heard, the quality was also very good, and it was being also as well. I think we need to revive our agriculture. Oil, of course, if it comes, there are processes coming. But of course, you must remember that the West are now trying to move away from even those things. So who knows? This technology is so fast now. In few years, by the time you discover your oil, they would have decided to change all the, vehicles that they are all electric. Then they don't need your oil again. Or the price will be so low that it cannot make any meaningful impact. And largely for Africa, it has been a cause. Where is the country that has utilized this in Africa very well? Nigeria has been doing it since 1975. Where did it take them? For us, it has been benefiting people generally. So I think for us, we should work on our agriculture. I think every time, in our reports, I think we do sometimes government will make a projection to send this amount we want to spend on a percentage budget that need to go. I think they must make a firm, this percentage of the budget must go to development of agriculture. Not to, of course, mechanize is the final point, but as it is now, must now look at our granules, they are not being sold. How do we expect farmers to be encouraged to do more granules? In the compost is finished, we have sold all the land, of course. My people have sold all the land for residential purposes. You don't even have any to farm. But agriculture, that is what is going to carry this for if you want to move. For me, if you ask me, that's what I'm going to do. That is the way forward. For now. Of course, and tourism, it is a sidekick, but agriculture will be the mainstay. That will be the main forward point.
Thank you very much, Karamba. It's, I think, an interesting and insightful conversation that I see a lot of people reacting to, saying how they are learning so much, because these reports come out and it's difficult to have auditors sit and have this long conversation because they run away from all these things, because when people politicize, it affects your job. But we really appreciate this conversation. Hopefully, we will be able to have you more often to talk to people, especially in the local languages, so we can talk to our people and they understand some of these reports. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Like I said, this is good for the office too. Like I said, our greatest client, biggest is the general public.
Yeah.
We are the servants of the general public, carrying out, the audit is carrying out this work on their behalf, even their officers. So if we can get this information to them, so for them to put pressure on their national team members, I think that is going to be a win-win for all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And recently we have seen that. We have seen National Audit having sessions with the media, inviting stakeholders, and all the time briefing us, even training and all the stuff, how to report on audit reports. This is a new way of doing things that we have seen recently, and I think we want to thank you guys for those initiatives.
We have an hour too with how do you call it? West Coast Radio.
Yeah, I'll make sure they come to Kerr Fatou also. I
have
to
an
follow
hour
up
that
on
we do. Yeah.
Yes, but
we have an hour where they go to explain the processes.
No, these things are very important because the Gambian people have taken a special interest on these audit reports. Because now we want to know how our public funds are being spent on. So I think it's very interesting, and we want to thank you for that.
And your audience to be going to the website.
Yes,
it is very rich with
documents. It's very rich. Yeah.
I think the last report that was the source, but there is one on water supply in Greater Banjul area up to Brikama.
Wow.
We have done a good work on that one too. My last one was actually post, but that was not completed. It was at the draft stage when I left. The Gambia Ports Authority. Yeah. Remember that fraud? Yeah. We are asked to investigate.
Yes, the petition that the Western Gambia took there. You guys started the investigation.
Yes, we have. And I think before I left, we sent in a draft.
Wow.
And that was it. I'm so very soon they will conclude it.
That will be interesting.
Yes.
That will be interesting.
We sent in a draft. So very soon they will conclude it. Yes.
Interesting. Thank you so much for your service. And I want to say, on behalf of the entire Gambian people, we want to thank you for your service to this nation. And there's no better person to be called the Gambian of the year than you for 2022. And we thank you very much. And to you all watching, thank you very much. Until we come back on Thursday, good night to you all. See you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
yiriwa men kafatan na tarambuloluto nga GIA cargo complex parendile pour que julaya sone yandi kadungoni mfunti bundana doko sembentu ya Banjul International Airport oto men si nyafa si moluma melka fengolu ki bantala bankolu kan anin julandingolu fana foysi sulan na cargo doko le bang katu masingolu bembulule ikafo ye forklifts melka selendiro nin jindiro ke bakasolu la melbe funti kan waranto ka dunnan na warehouse lu kono nga dinkira sumayari ngolu fana sotole ifula milla fano mu metar kemeleti karo bela adun isi cargo bakasolu men sita fo ton tan woro ila sumaya fana futata tembeleto men ka fendolu mabono fo ikana tinya fo sene fengol lombang domori fengolu waranto jata kende ani bori ma fengolu kago bagasolu la taradula kendo asulata jamani labang korosir langolu lela na double view x-ray korosir la masingolu aka kago bagaso kono jubele komi kago doko sartolu ya landi nyameng nyin double view x-ray amu jamani labang rapid scanaleti men ka karafula korosiro keno kago sifa bela wati kiringo kono to na doku lalo imu ayata karandingol leti la dokuo no iframansata kago dokuo na tamandiri nyato na dokuo la betea wayem futandi RA3 makamoleto mensati nafo nse kago bagasolu kinole kata UK aning EU bankolu kan GIA ka hakili tenkungo dila na dokuo to itenyina la men.
Every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon, to make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy, that daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.